Hi, Emily. Um, well, you asked about how to dress the commutator on a sewing machine motor, this being the commutator here where the brushes ride. And the main reason that you want to dress a commutator is if there are grooves worn in it, because the wear will cause faster wear on your motor brushes. You can also just clean them up, if they're just very slightly scored like this one is. This is the motor from your Spartan. Let's see. We need a drill. So check the whole assembly in your drill, and be careful when you're tightening your drill, because you have sharp things spinning everywhere on here, and I've drawn blood more than once. For just a light scoring like that, I'm going to use some 600 grit sandpaper, wet or dry emery cloth sandpaper. Remove your freshly painted motor parts so they don't get carbon on them. Then you just wrap the emery cloth just very slightly around this. Let's see, what do they call this? Not actually emery cloth. This is just wet or dry sandpaper. You can see that I've already used it to dress a couple of commutators. Anyway, you wrap your sandpaper part way around, just part way, and make sure it's laying flat on the commutator, and spin it. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Looks good. Now, if it were a badly scored commutator, you might first want to use a piece of 400 grit just to get it down smooth before you polish it with the really fine sandpaper. But that's all it takes. And then, again, looking out for sharp parts as you release it. Some commutators have a groove between every plate of the commutator. Some are filled, so they don't have a groove. Let's see. Let's sharpen the toothpick here a little bit. No, I think this is. I used this toothpick on your featherweight to do a little bit of touch up, because that's, I think, your featherweight color. Anyway, you want to pare it down a little bit so it's thin and will fit into the groove between the plates of the commutator. And then you just run it through each groove, scrape out any built up carbon and dirt that might be in there. We're going to sharpen it just a little bit more. Anyway, you'll know when it's thin enough to go between the plates and into the groove. And you just scrape out anything that's in there. Make your way all the way around. Make sure you get every one. Because carbon can actually build a little bridge between the two plates, and so the electricity can jump between the two, and you don't want that. Some motors have external access to the motor brushes. You take off a little cap or unscrew a little plug, and you can just pop the motor brushes right out and check them. On yours, when you take the motor apart, you'll reach your brushes, and the motor brushes are in this part of the motor that sets over the commutator. Well, let's see, maybe we can do this. Yeah, okay. When the motor's all reassembled, this piece is going to fit over the commutator and screw down to the rest of the motor. And as it spins, the motor brushes impart electricity to each of those little plates one at a time. They're spring-loaded, and you can take them out. And that's a lot of motor brush left. This motor has barely been used. Motor brushes can wear down until they are as long as they are thick. When they get as short as the thickness of the motor brush, then it's time to replace them. And as long as I have you here, I'm gonna put this motor back together. It's a Singer motor, but this one takes oil rather than motor grease like some of them do. This is my little oil dauber that I use. I'm going to put a drop of oil inside the brass bearing at the back end of the motor before I start. And there were a couple of felt washers that went on the back end of the motor shaft. There's one and there's two. And we're going to slip that into the, I guess we won't do that yet, because we have to do this side first. Now your wires, pay attention to which way your wires come out of the motor. These are the ones going to the cord. Okay. And I'm going to put a drop of oil in the front bearing. This is the end that the drive pulley is on, that the belt rides on. And you see this little built-in fan on it. The fan goes in first, and you want the wires to come out this end where the little extension is. So it's going to go in this way. Make sure that the shaft comes out of the hole there. Let's see. Then next we want to put in the 2 bolts. Then there are 2 spacers, just a little aluminum tube. Put 1 spacer on each screw, and then the let's see. You can actually, I'm going to do it the right way rather than take a shortcut that I sometimes take. On this motor, the receptacles that the motor brush is going to have a little brass tab that you bend up so that you can slide the brush in that way. Set the yeah, I know there's got to be a name for this, but you set this plate over the end of the commutator. Make sure that the screws go into the screw holes. And then there we go. Then the nuts go on to hold that plate in place. I believe that these are 1/4-inch screws. No, these are too big to be 1/4-inch, maybe 5/16. I mean the nuts. What I mean is the outside diameter of the nut, which is different from the size of the screw that it fits on, is what we want to know to pick our wrench size. It's probably 5/16. Yeah. Slightly smaller ones are usually 1/4-inch, at least on American motors. So you snug those 2 nuts down, but you don't over tighten them. And there's a little connector tab for your wires. So it's got a yellow wire and a blue wire. There's another tab on the other side at the end of the brush retainer. That's wired up again. We'll have to reconnect these wires after the fact. There's a little leather, well, it's not really leather. It's a insulation thing. You'll see them on there. Put your, make sure that those are on your yellow and your blue wires. Just do one of the holes. Then after we put our brushes in, then we'll put them, I'll show you how they go. This end of the motor brush will be slightly concave, shaped to fit the commutator. So make sure that you're holding it so the shape of the commutator will be up against the commutator. You don't want it sideways, because then you just wear it down. Anyway, blah blah blah. So put your motor brush in and the spring. Hold the spring down with something. A small screwdriver works well for that. It's going to want to boing away from you, so be careful about that. You don't lose it. This one is sneaking out. There. See now the motor brush is inside there and it's closed. Fold it back down. Make sure that your yellow wire is plugged into the end of the brush housing. I'm sure there's a name for it. And then that little insulator just goes right over the top of that like that. Same thing on the other end. Align the curve with the commutator. Slip the brush in. Hold it down. And fold that brass tab back over. And you're golden. Make sure the blue wire is plugged into the brush holder, and then slip the insulator over the end of the screw, just like that. See, now you have your two wires that go outside of the motor and your two that go inside the motor connected to the brushes. Make sure your commutator can spin. I believe that's it. I believe we're ready to... Oh, first I'm going to have to solder the wires back together. I clipped the wires to take them out. They were connected to the other wires with a crimp connector, but I'm going to solder them. But for that I need, let's see, where would those wires be? One of the wires will go to the foot control, and the other one see how I cleverly color coded them with a little bit of acrylic paint. So there were 3 connections inside. I painted one of them yellow, one of them orange, and I left one of them just black. So there's the black one that goes with the black one there, the yellow one that goes with the yellow wire, which I have to remember where it goes, and the other one will have a black wire on it and an orange wire. The end of the cord, I bet it's down here. Not that one. No, not that one. No, not that one. So it must be this one. Okay, there we are. So we have a yellow wire and an orange wire. These two will go together. These two will go together, and these two will go together. Yeah, so I'm going to solder those together, and then after I do that, I'll just slip the other end of the cover on and make sure that the end of the motor shaft goes into the hole in the other end, the back end there. Put your nuts on and connect up to electricity and run the thing. Just let it run for about a minute. Let it calm down and burn itself in a little bit. So run it for at least a full minute. And then you might want to bang it a little bit if it's sounding rough, because oftentimes it just needs to be settled into things a little bit. But again, I'm going to take that back apart and do our connections. So that's it, Emily. Sorry, I'm a little scattered today, but I do speak English, believe it or not. And pleasure talking to you.